Remember Akhenaton. But who was Akhenaton? A young pharaoh of Egypt who lived more than 1,300 years before these days of Augustus. A frail, delicate young pharaoh with an ugly body, but a shining spirit. He stands alone, quite alone, in the history of the world, for he was the first man to come upon the truth that God is one single spirit, the life-giving spirit of the entire universe. Akhenaton was born in 1388 BC, and he was born too soon. Few, if any, of his followers in Egypt could understand his teaching. Like children in kindergarten trying to learn higher mathematics, they were not ready for it. It was beyond them. So when Akhenaton died, there was no one to carry it on. Egypt went backward instead of forward until now. 13 centuries later, visitors who come to Egypt were very scornful of the Egyptian religion and shocked by what they saw of it. Animal worship, they called it, and so it was among the masses of the people. In the beginning, various animals, like the hawk, had been taken as symbols of a tribe or an idea, just as today, for instance, the bear and the tiger represent ball teams and the bee is a symbol of busyness. But in time, the idea and the symbols got separated. The idea was forgotten, and only the symbol was left to be worshipped. Animals of all kinds were held sacred in Egypt: the bull, the beetle, the cat, the ibis, the eagle, the frog, the sheep, dogs, monkeys, even the hippopotamus and the crocodile. Some were kept in temples and tended by priests, and when they died, their bodies were carefully embalmed and laid in cemeteries. One visitor to Egypt was a Greek from Asia Minor by the name of Strabo, who was soon to begin writing his famous geography. Strabo took a trip up the Nile with his friend, the Roman governor of Astyria. They stopped off at the town of the sacred crocodile. Our host, he said, was the one of the officials who went with us to the lake, where the crocodile was kept, carrying from dinner a kind of cookie and some roasted meat and a pitcher of wine mixed with honey. We found the animal lying in the edge of the lake. When the priest went up to it, some of them opened its mouth, and another put in the cake, the meat, and then poured down the honey mixture, and the crocodile swam away. At Memphis, the oldest capital of Egypt, the two travelers, Strabo and his friend, were taken to view the sacred bull known as the Apis. He was kept in a sanctuary, but at a certain hour each day his priests led him out into the court so that the people might gaze upon him, and then led him back into his stall. The bull was black and had a square white spot on his forehead and other marks which were taken as proof that he contained the soul of Osiris. When the bull died, he would be embalmed and his mummy placed in a splendid marble mausoleum. All Egypt would go into mourning until a new bull calf had been found and declared by the priests to have the proper markings to show that the soul of Osiris had now entered his body. Strabo and the Roman governor also visited Thebes, the last city to be used as a capital by the native pharaohs and the birthplace of Akhenaton. There the visitors saw the temples to Amen, the god of Thebes. These had been built by the same pharaoh who had erected those abysses of granite in the city of the sun, which now had been shipped to Assyria. His great-great-grandson was the young pharaoh Akhenaton. Originally, Akhenaton had not been his name. As a small boy, he'd been called Akhenaton, meaning one in whom the god Amen was satisfied. At the age of 12, the boy, who was very delicate, had been married to a little girl of 9 or 10 by the name of Nefertiti. When he was 13, he became the pharaoh and also a priest in the temple of the sun god Amen-Ra, for in the temple of the sun god Amen-Ra. For Amen, the tribal god of Thebes, had been promoted to the higher position of the sun god of all Egypt and was spoken of as Amen-Ra. The priests of Amen-Ra were rich and powerful, but they were worldly and corrupt. And this young Pharaoh priest, who loved truth and beauty above all things, became disgusted with them and with their god Amen, and when all the other gods of Egypt. As he studied the sun and pondered and thought about it, it came to this young Egyptian that just as there was only one sun in the world, there could be but one God. And as the sun did shine upon any one land alone, but warmed and lighted the whole world, so God must not belong to any one race or nation. A life-giving spirit, radiant like the sun, he belonged equally to all people and creatures everywhere. The young Pharaoh spoke of God as Anton, changing his own name to Akhenaton, beloved of Anton. This is from one of the beautiful psalms he wrote in praise of God. O living Anton, beginner of life, the dawning is beautiful on the horizon of heaven. Thou fillest every land with thy beauty. Thou bindest them with thy love. How manifold are their works, O thou sole God, whose power no other possesses. Thou didst create the earth according to thy desire, men and all cattle, large and small, all that go upon their feet, all that fly with wings, the foreign countries of Syria and Cush, as well as this land of Egypt. Thou settest every man in his place. Thou suppliest their needs. Through their tongues, though their tongues differ in speech, their forms likewise, and the color of their skins thou art, Lord of them all. How excellent are thy designs, O Lord of eternity. Thou art in my heart, for thou art the duration of life. By thee men live. As a symbol of God, Akhenaton took the disk of the sun, with rays ending in many little hands, and he wrote, Every day I behold thy beauty. Give me thy hands holding thy spirit, that I may receive it and live by it. Call thou upon my name unto eternity, and it shall never fail. Using his power as Pharaoh, Akhenaton tried to establish the worship of Anton. He sent stone mansions out to cut the name of the old god Amen from the temples and altars, and to chip off even the plural word gods wherever it appeared. Opposed by the old priests of Amen, he moved from Thebes and built a completely new and beautiful city dedicated to the one God. There he lived, trying to reflect in his own spirit the beauty which he saw in Anton. He refused to hate or to make war on any nation, even to protect his empire, which was then being attacked. As frail and delicate in body as he was strong in spirit, Akhenaton died when he was barely 30. As soon as he was gone, the old priest came back again, bringing the old gods. The next pharaoh and his court moved back to Thebes, leaving the beautiful city deserted. For years, Akhenaton was referred to as that criminal. Then, as time went on, his name was no longer mentioned, and finally it was forgotten. Now, in these days of Augustus Caesar, his poor fragile body and the beautiful songs which he had written had been hidden in the Valley of Tombs for 1,300 years. There they were to remain lost and forgotten for 19 centuries more. Not until 1907 would the world discover Akhenaton and learn that once in ancient Egypt there had lived a great soul so far ahead of his age that he tried to teach a way of living that the world today is not yet ready to accept.